Hi everyone, welcome to the class, which is a second module content, second part, deadlocks. So now we'll move on to the next slide. The deadlock, here you can see the traffic. Is it possible to move here? That this traffic cannot move at all because the state we call it as a deadlock. No vehicle is moving at any side, so they are struck at a particular point. If you observe the same in another view, you will see in this way, and you can also watch the video related to this. Now you just observe this. No vehicle is moving at any side in this circle, and you can see that even after 1 or 2 minutes it is same, and here also it is looking the same. The state we call it as a deadlock, where the vehicle is moving at this point. Okay, just come back to the slide. So here the topic we are discussing is a deadlocks, which means that in a system there are many processes will be executing, and those executing process may enter into a state called as deadlock, which means that no process is getting executed. So every process is depending on another process to release some resources, or waiting for other process to execute, but still they are not completing their execution. This situation we call it as a deadlock. So in this chapter we are discussing about the definition and problem statement of the deadlock, and how the system is modeled, uh, which may create a deadlocks, and deadlock characterization. What are all the characteristics of deadlock that we are learning here, and method for handling the deadlocks. There are three methods for handling the deadlock, so that we are discussing. The deadlock handling methods are the deadlock prevention, and deadlock detection or avoidance, and then avoidance, and recovery from the deadlock. So those things we are discussing, and the objectives of this chapter are to develop a description of deadlocks, which prevents set of concurrent processes from completing their tasks, and another objective is to present a number of different methods for preventing or avoiding deadlocks in a computer system. So these two are the main objectives of the chapter. Consider the deadlock problem, how it will be. If you take a set of blocked processes, each holding a resource, it may be of anything. It may be a hard disk, or it may be the drives, any drives, or it may be CPU, anything it may be. A set of blocked processes, each holding resources and waiting to acquire another resource held by another process in the same set. So for example, system has two tape drives, and P1 and P2 each hold one tape drives, and each need another one. Now just imagine it. So there are only two tape drives, and P1 and P2 are the two processes. Both have acquired already one each, and again they require another one. So there is no extra tape drive. So each are holding one, and no uh, another one will not be taken by P1 and P2. So they entered into a state called as deadlock. So similarly, if you consider the following scenario, that is P0 and P1 are the two processes running, and there are semaphores. We call it as semaphores are nothing but some signals for acquiring a resources. P0 acquires S, at the same time parallelly P1 acquires Q. So both are executed parallelly. P0 and P1 acquired S and Q, and next time what happens is P0 requests for Q, and P1 requests for S, but the acquired both are acquired. P0 has to wait until P1 releases the Q, and P1 has to wait until P0 releases the S. So both are holding the semaphores or resource S and Q respectively, and waiting for Q and S to acquire. So it is entered into a state called as deadlock. Now you just observe this scenario. Traffic is only one direction here, where the arrow mark is placed. Each section of bridge can be viewed as a resource, and if deadlock occurs, it can be solved if one car backs up or preempt the resource and roll back. It is only possible if they don't have uh, a much traffic, and if it is having a higher traffic, I mean both the sides of that bridge, then there is a possibility that several cars may have to be backed up if the deadlock occurs. So in this case, there is a chance that each time if one side is backing up, it may lead to a starvation, which means that they will not pass at all. That is also a problem that may occur. And note that most OSs do not prevent or deal with deadlocks, which means that they will not, first thing, they will not allow the things to enter into a deadlock, and if the deadlock occurs, they will not work. I mean, operating system will not work. There are some cases the operating system that may uh, take this into consideration. If deadlock occurs, it will ignore, especially in Linux operating system, it will ignore the things. The next thing will be the definition. When processes request a resource, and each resources and if the resources are not available at that time, the process enter into a waiting state. Waiting process may not change its state because the resources are requested or held by other process. This situation is called as deadlock, which means that the process which is waiting for another resource will not get at all. This situation we call it as a deadlock. The situation where process waiting for a resource and that is not available is called as deadlock. Now consider the system model. System model is having 3 points. The first point is each resource, computer resource, is represented as R1, R2, R3, and Rm. Let us consider there are m resources, then they are called as R1, R2, R3, R4, Rm. The resources may be CPU cycles, memory space, IO devices, etc. And each resource type Ri, which is having some instances, say for example, pen drive slots may be uh, more than two. I mean, pen drive slot is a resource input device, input output device. There are many instances like that. This is W instances may be present for a resource R. Each process utilizes a resource with the following points. First, it will request for a resource. After request, it is get allocated, and that is used by a process. And then, after usage, it will release the resource for some other process to utilize. So this is how a system model is present. So in this way, the resources are taken into consideration, and they are utilizing in this way: request, use, and release. What are the characteristics of a deadlock? When this deadlock situation may occur. So deadlock can arise if four conditions hold simultaneously at a time. If all these hold, then deadlock may occur. The first point is mutual exclusion. Second one is hold and wait. Third one is preemption. The fourth one is circular wait. Mutual exclusion. Only one process at a time can use a resource or an instance of a resource, which means that no two processes are executing or acquiring the resource. This situation may also lead to deadlock because one may be holding and other may be waiting for that resource, and then the holding process may release or may not release. Second one, hold and wait. A process holding at least one resource and is waiting to acquire additional resource held by other processes. This also leads to a deadlock, which means that holding it may actually require say for example three resources, and it is it is already holding two and requesting for another one. This kind of situation also lead to a deadlock. No preemption. The third point, a resource can be released only voluntarily by the process holding it after that process has completed its task. So no preemption in the sense, if anyone is required, any process requires a resource, then it cannot be forcibly taken by the other process already holding that resource. That is the point. And circular wait, there exists a sequence P0, P1, P2, P3, and last again it comes to P0. If waiting process processes such that P1 is waiting for a resource that is held by P0 is waiting for a resource that is held by P1, and P1 is waiting for resource that is held by P2, and so on, and Pn minus 1 is waiting for a resource that is held by Pn, and Pn is waiting for a resource that is held by P0. That makes the circle, so which may lead to a deadlock state. To depict this kind of situation, we make use of resource allocation graph. which consists of vertices and edges. The vertices are of two types. One is a processes vertices P1, P2, P3, Pn, and resources vertices are R1, R2, R3, Rm. And there are two types of edges. One is a request edge and another one is a assignment edge. A request edge is nothing but a process is requesting a resource. It is directed from process to resource. And assignment edge is nothing but the resource is allocated to a process, which is directed from resource to process. Let us take the diagrams, uh, the symbols that are used for the resource allocation graph. Process symbol is circle, resource symbol is square. If it is having a instance, number of instances, that is represented within a circle. So here 4 instances are available of a resource because 4 dots are there within the square. And here next third point here is PI request instance of RJ. PI is requesting the resource RJ, any instance, one instance. And similarly, an instance of RJ is allocated to PI in the fourth point. So this is how we represent the resource allocation graph symbols. Now you consider the example of resource allocation graph. Here processes are 3, P1, P2, P3. Resources are 4, R1, R2, R3, R4. And resource R1 is having only one instance, R2 has having 2 instances, R3 is having 1 instance, and R4 is having 3 instances. Now if you observe here, P1 is holding the R2 resource, instance of an R2, and requesting for R1. P2 is holding R1 and R2 resources and requesting for R3, and P3 is holding only R3. So now do we have a deadlock here? No, because the P3 is holding the R3 and it requires only R3, and it will execute and release the R3. So first process executed in this is P3. After release of R3, P2 will acquire that resource and it is get executed because it requires only 3 resources, R1, R2 and R3. So R1 and R2 already hold by the P2, and the released R3 is also taken and get executed. The second process executed is P2. After that it will release R1, R2 and R3. Next, P1 is already holding R2 and requesting for R1, and it will take the R1 also because it is released by P2, and P1 is get executed as a third process. So there is no deadlock in this situation. Now you just observe the same thing is depicted here. P1, P2, P3 are the processes. P1 is holding R2 and requesting for R1. P2 is holding R1 and R2 instances and requesting for R3, and P3 is holding R3 and requesting for R2. So now there is no chance of execution of any process. So this forms the deadlock. If there occurs any cycle, the as represented here, any cycle if there occurs in a graph, then that leads to a deadlock. and there is a condition for that. So if you observe the same kind of diagram, here also a cycle, but there will not be any deadlock. Now you just observe P1 is holding R2 instance and requesting for R1. P2 is holding R1. P3 is holding R1 and requesting for R2, and P4 is holding R2. Now you can have any sequence of execution like this. If P2 is get executed, it will release R1, which is given to P1, so that P2 first, if it executes, then next executed will be P1 and P4 and then P3. So even though there is a cycle here, but it will not enter into a deadlock. Then what is the condition for deadlock? If the graph contains no cycles, then there is no deadlock at all. If there occurs a cycle, there are two conditions. One is if only one instance per resource type, then there is a definite deadlock. Means that if all resources are having only one instances and cycle occurs, then definitely there will be a deadlock. If several instances per each resource type is present and cycle occurs, then there is a possibility of deadlock. Then there is a possibility of deadlock. So this slide gives the information that for the resource allocation graphs, when there will be a deadlock possibility. So you must observe this slide carefully. There are methods for handling a deadlock. The first method is ensure that system will never enter a deadlock state. So just observe the diagram there. You create a space, complete space, a space for the execution, which means that allocate resources as much as possible or create the instances, many instances, and there will not be any deadlock at all. So widen the path so that they can move properly as depicted in the diagram. So this we call it as deadlock prevention. Prevention means, so you are ensuring that there will not occur any deadlock, so we take the measures earlier only. Second one, allow the system to enter deadlock state and then recover. So this is another method. So allow the system to have a deadlock, and later you apply some method or algorithm or some techniques, then uh, you recover from the deadlock. The third one is very nice one. So here, ignore the problem and pretend that deadlock never occurs. So don't talk about it, don't look into it, and don't hear about it. So this is what used by the Unix kind of operating systems. So they will ignore it. So ignorance, prevention, then allow them to occur, then recover from it. The third one will be the ignorance. So this is what called as, this is what the thing about deadlock.